Hi, this is Mrs. Bear, filming a video, homework help, solving systems by substitution practice from page 24 in your workbook. I'm going to start with problem 2. Problem 2 is perfect for substitution because there's already a variable that's isolated. The y is by itself. So I'm going to take what y equals and put it in place of y in my top equation. That gives me 2x minus 5 times the quantity 3x minus 7 equals 9. Now I'm going to distribute that negative 5 throughout the parentheses, and I get 2x minus 15x plus 35 equals 9. These are like terms. I'm going to combine them and get negative 13x plus 35 equals 9. Now I'm just going to complete my steps for solving a two-step equation. And I find that x equals 2. Now that I know what x is, I'll go back up here to where y has been isolated, where we started, and I'm going to plug in my x value in place of the x in that equation. And now I get that that y is negative 1. So when x is 2, y is negative 1 is the solution to the system. The next problem I'd like to help you with is number 11. Number 11 doesn't have either variable isolated. I can choose to isolate x or y, and I can use either equation. I think it's easier to isolate the y in the top equation. I simply just have to take this negative 4x and move it to the other side of the equal sign. Well, since it's negative, when it moves over, it will become positive. And this will be my equation. And I'm going to take this 4x plus 6, which is what y equals, and put it in place of y in my second equation. I get negative 5x minus the quantity 4x plus 6 equals 21. I have to be careful to remember there's like a negative 1, an invisible negative 1 in front of the parentheses. So I'm going to distribute that negative 1, or distribute that negative sign. And I get negative 5x minus 4x minus 6 equals 21. Combine my like terms. Negative 9x minus 6 equals 21. Continue with inverse operations to isolate x, and I find that x equals negative 3. Now that I know what x is, I'm going to go back up to where I started, and I get y equals 4 times x, which is negative 3. So y would equal negative 12 plus 6, therefore y would equal negative 6. So when x is negative 3, y is negative 6 is my solution. Last problem, number 12. I don't see a variable isolated in this one either. So I can choose to isolate x or y in either equation. And I notice this x has no coefficient in front of it, so it'd be very easy to get x alone if I just move the y's over. So I'm going to take this equation, move my y's over, they're negative, so when I move them to the other side of the equal sign, they'll become positive 2y. So I get x equals positive 2y plus 11. I'm going to take what x equals, circle it, put it in place of x in my top equation this time. I get negative 7 times the quantity 2y plus 11 minus 2y equals negative 13. I'm going to distribute my negative 7, and I get negative 14y minus 77 minus 2y equals negative 13. Combine like terms here. I get negative 16y minus 77 equals negative 13. Now I'm going to quickly solve my two-step equation using my inverse operations. This part should be pretty fast for you. and I get y equals -4. Now that I know what y equals, I can go back to where I started. I don't have room next to it, so I'm going to come down here. If x is equal to 2y plus 11, and I know what y is, then x is equal to 2 times the value of y, which is -4, plus 11. X equals -8 plus 11, so x equals 3. X is 3, y is -4. Box my answer, and we're done with 3 homework problems on solving systems by substitution. Good luck.